Anthony Joshua. We got Moses Atoma versus Dillian White signed for Saudi. What a fight that is going to be. Turki Al Sheikh coming out saying what he doesn't want to see in future boxing events and more. But we'll start with Anthony Joshua because his coach, Ben Davison, has just done an interview and he spoke a lot about the future of Anthony Joshua, but also what went wrong in the Daniel Dubois fight.
No training with him at this moment?
Not at the minute. He's had that elbow operation that you mentioned there, so still doing the recovery of that, which isn't something that I take control of.
So the fact that he's not training now tells us that, you know, he's not going to fight really in the very near future. It's going to be a while. The worry is the older you get as an athlete, and AJ's on the older side now for an athlete, the worse inactivity will fuck you. It gets harder to do what you used to be able to do. That's why you have to keep doing it every fucking day. And no one is a better example of that than Alexander Usyk. There's a reason at his age of 38, I think he is, can still compete with younger guys, is because he never takes a day off. There's always a fight on the way.
And I want you to listen to some VT of your observations in the corner, and then we'll come back to it after you've listened.
Yep.
Then we'll come back to it after you've listened.
Yep.
If there's a bit of a move, in behind that double jump, bring it up, roll the dice, he'll double another right hand, lift it, yeah? Roll the dice. Roll that dice, innit? Double in his eyes, bring it up.
We all remember the roll the dice comment. It went so viral that and basically everyone in boxing unanimously was like, that wasn't the right idea. And we can all say that after it doesn't work. It nearly did work, to be fair. Not necessarily the actual uppercut, but AJ going after him, he did hurt Dubois in that round. It's just, what if he'd waited another round and then went after him and composed himself, because he was starting to get his legs back. That was the main argument.
We've asked AJ to throw a double jab and bring it up the middle. Daniel was defending AJ's right hand by ducking underneath it. Therefore, if he's ducking underneath your right hand, the correct adjustment is to let him dip onto the right uppercut.
What's the roll of dice bit?
Roll the dice is like, that was something that he'd worked on throughout camp. Double jab, bring it out the middle.
Right.
From memory, though, I don't think AJ actually did double jab. I think he just led with the uppercut. Goes straight for the uppercut from memory. Yeah. So to be fair to Ben, AJ kind of abandoned the double jab before the uppercut and just went straight for it, which is why he got caught so cleanly.
Yeah, roll the dice didn't actually mean go out there and take...
That's what everyone picked up on.
Of course, and I get that. What we meant was that's something you've worked on. You haven't thrown it once in the fight. You know, commit to it. Roll the dice in the sense that he's going to duck underneath it. That's what we meant. However, I totally respect. You're entitled to your opinion. You're entitled to your opinion. Maybe I was wrong.
Okay, I'm going to stop there. Shout out to True Jordy from the Pain Game, and True Jordy, of course, as he needs no introduction, but he has the introduction nonetheless. Ben Davison's explanation on Roll the Dice. And I seen this interview. I seen the Talk Sports interview with Ben Davison explaining it, you know, and Ben Davison has seemed to redeem himself, okay, especially with the Fabio Wardley strategy on keeping composed. Even though Fabio was getting his butt kicked by Justice Hooney, he still remembered the tactic that they worked on before the fight with throwing the right hand counter, okay? So that seemed to give him a bit of slack off when criticizing Ben Davison's ability to train, okay? Now, looking back at the overall AJ versus Dubois issue, the issue was Roll the Dice was supposed to be go for this shot, okay? And I'm glad that he did explain it, because Roll the Dice means just go for that shot at whatever time. However, I've already told people about AJ and his decision-making. It wasn't Ben Davison's call to say roll the dice at a particular time. Roll the dice was referred to, hey, you need to go for that shot. And Dubois was slipping that right hand like he did with the Hrgovic fight, because Hrgovic and AJ are about the same height. Dubois is slightly shorter. Dubois is about 6'4". Okay, that's why him and Alexander Usyk look eye to eye, because Usyk is 6'3". So Danny Dubois is not as tall as Hrgovic or AJ or Wilder or those guys. He's a bit shorter. So since he's a bit shorter, he's able to slip down based on his height. Okay, his height makes it easier to slip a right hand from a slightly taller person like Hrgovic or AJ. So when he did start to throw when he did throw the right hand, Dubois was able to slip it. Now, Ben Davison explained when he explained jab and that right hand, he slips under the adjustment, the uppercut. Well, AJ didn't do that. AJ took a right hand, he landed a right hand, overhand right. And then he landed it again, and then he thought, okay, well, let me try to land it again. He got caught. And then he tries to throw the uppercut without the jab and got belted. Okay? But understand, that had a lot to do with his defense. His defense caused him to get knocked out. If he would have had his guard up and he would have threw the uppercut, he would have more than likely hit Dubois and not get hit himself, Or if he was throwing the double jab, it depends on when he threw it. It might have been ricocheted or blocked from the jab because the right hand wouldn't have landed flush, or it wouldn't have landed the way it would have supposed to land, especially if he would have listened to counsel. We told him to throw the double jab, then the right uppercut. He didn't do that. He just tried to throw the uppercut, got smacked, down he went. End of, right? Breakdance attempt to get up, right? But that's all that was. Okay, so if anything, Ben Davison to me, right? He is explaining it like Malik Scott explained himself in the AJ versus Zhang issue. When Zhang caught Deontay Wilder and he threw the right hand, it was the same thing. Wilder was not blocking like he was supposed to, like they asked him to. That's the new word, ask. They asked him. They asked them to. And none of those fighters did so. So Ben Davison is basically like, look, he didn't do what I told him to do. Pragmatically, he didn't say, hey, he didn't do what we wanted him to do, therefore he got knocked out. No. He was just saying, well, we asked him to throw this and he didn't throw the punches that we asked him to throw. Okay? And if he would have done that, that would have happened. But I'll tell you this. When Ben Davison said, maybe I was wrong, you got to respect that. Because you guys know I'm an advocate for the trainers. Because the trainers are not fighting for the fighters. They can only give instructions from the outside looking in. Okay? And a lot of times from the outside looking in, you can see things that they need to work on. But it's up to the fighter to actually put that in motion, to actually, make that happen. Okay? Because again, they're the ones that train for this whole fight process. And it involves more than the head trainer. Okay, so, yeah, I like it how Ben did say that. Ben, hey, maybe I was wrong for saying that. Maybe I should have waited to tell AJ in round 6 or round 7 or round 8 when because Dubois was getting tired. Let's be real. He was not throwing the same type of shots that he was throwing in rounds 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, in round 5, he was slowing down a bit. That's why he got caught with that right hand from AJ. Okay, so it is what it is in that issue. I'm glad that Ben Davison came forth and did explain himself the way he really supposed to. But you guys tell me what you think of the True Geordie breakdown. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch.